Hello everyone, welcome to REACHLaw's second session, which is on mastering the BIS process. My name is Gagan Kumar. We'll have some short introduction, but I welcome you all and thank you for joining us today. We have still more attendees joining, but we will start the session now. So this session too, what we have done is that we have split this BIS specific regulation in 3 sessions. So the first session, I will explain that what we have covered for those who intend to know and missed the session 1, they could not register for some reason. So we have a recap that I will show, but then this is something we will very briefly discuss, and then this session is all about step-by-step guide to secure the BIS license. So please, this is the most important session for having a practical as well as information requirements to secure your license. So without, we will start now with the introduction. So I'll also switch on videos so you can also see us. Yes. Thank you once again. Let me introduce myself. I'm Gagan Kumar. I'm working as Managing Director of REACHLaw India Private Limited, which is a subsidiary of our parent company, REACHLaw Finland. And I'm based out of New Delhi. I've been working in REACH and REACH-like regulations, including local regulations affecting companies doing business with India, and in fact, companies having business in India. So this is what I'm helping companies with, and been working in this segment since more than 14 years already. And I'm happy to assist and participate in this session. I'll be moderating the session, and I will also be taking up some questions at the end. And we'll also explain, as I mentioned in the beginning, about what we covered in the session 1, and we'll talk about our company also today. And I will let Rashmi to introduce herself. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Gagan, and hello everyone. I am Rashmi Srivastava, and I work as a senior manager at REACHLaw, where I manage BIS certification and other Indian compliance requirements. In today's webinar, I will be guiding you through step-by-step process and requirement of BIS license, and some key aspects to be considered while applying for BIS license, and also post-license maintenance. So without taking much time, I will pass it to Gagan to start with the webinar.
Yes, I'll hide this camera for the bandwidth, and covering on this sessions that what we have covered is the session 1, which was on 12th of November last week, same time. And in today's session, of course, I will cover more than what we are covering. This is about session 1 recap, and then step-by-step guide that my colleague will take you through the process. Then the post-license compliance that we will, of course, cover, and then some case studies. But what session 3 will talk about, which is next week, is also about the commercials. So this is also the important for companies to understand where are the costs coming from for these licenses, and how you will manage these costs when you have to prepare, and how to budget for the license. And then we have some wrap up. I will also be, we will have some thing more Q&A in the session 3, which probably will be also coming from today's session. If we, due to time constraint, I'm unable to take up all the questions that were sent in the chat box. So So about this session, this is calculated time of 60 minutes, but please stay with us if it is extended beyond 60 minutes, which may happen as we want to spend more time on the case study. This is important, the real time experience that we want to share for participants who may or would like to apply for the license. Then the recent updates is something which we'll talk about what's happening, so you know that what's coming next, and then we have a Q&A session that I mentioned that the step-by-step and post-license is important, which I think audience should listen. And then we have this is more of an interactive, so I suggest that please send your questions when you are on the slides, and if you think that you need more information or you have set questions that you would like to ask us, please use the chat function and send your questions to us. We have received some questions at the time of registration of this webinar, which we will take up first, and then I will take some questions from the chat box. And those who again could not join us, but in this is an option that all our webinars are now posted on YouTube channel, REACHLaw Talks. So feel free to view the recording post this session. And please send us a feedback to help us improve these sessions. To start with, I will briefly introduce REACHLaw. It could be repeat for the audiences who attended us in the session 1, and I thank you for them for also participating in session 2. But we have quite many registrations which are would like us to know about the company, so I'll take few minutes to introduce REACHLaw in brief. So REACHLaw as a company, the focus is for us is of course to support regulations in REACH and REACH like covering chemicals and product regulations, like the regulation we are talking today for India. BIS is a product regulation covering various products, and so this is something which REACHLaw provides, and we are providing these services using our own subsidiaries. For example, we are based out of New Delhi, India, which is where we are providing support to companies, and it requires local support when you are dealing in local regulations. And so this is India BIS, and India REACH is at the moment there is no update. So once it is coming, we will definitely providing these services also. Then we have our head office in Helsinki, Finland, where we are taking up the European REACH and CLP and similar developments, where ECHA is responsible for managing or implementing the new regulations coming in. So this is where we will provide support and already providing services in REACH. And then other countries where similar REACH-like regulations are adopted, and we are of course present then in UK at Manchester for UK REACH and similar services. Where some developments happening in UK, so it's also important for companies to follow UK REACH because it is undergoing some changes on the registration procedures. Then we have set up also in Brussels, Belgium. Coming to Turkey, we have also our setup at Istanbul. This is all these offices are REACHLaw's own offices, and where we provide services on Turkey KKDIK, which is similar to REACH regulation. And then we have also our setup in Seoul, South Korea, which is supporting K-REACH and KOSHA, where you also need representation services. So this is, and recently we are also operating from Ukraine, Kyiv, where Ukraine REACH is coming in force from next year, and I think CLP is already in force. So this is how we are placed, and very briefly, all our offices are supporting regulation as a company. Then what we provide, essentially market access. As you know, these regulations demand companies to register, and if you are not present in these countries as a company, meaning you do not have any office or presence in these countries, then you would of course require certain representation, so you can apply for registration to have your own registration where you can access market without having any dependency of your importers. So this is also we provide as an only representation services. And starting from registration and all complex where it goes deeper into the regulatory advocacy and services, this is what we offer. And more information of course you can find on our website. On right hand side you will see the regulations that we support, starting from EU, UK, Korea, as I mentioned. And in addition, we have all other REACH like regulations that we support. So feel free to see if you have any interest in addition to topic today. When it comes to BIS, BIS is again a kind of market access regulation where companies needs to obtain the license to do business with India. We will discuss more about what it covers, and we have of course covered in session one what is the scope and when you need this to have the license. So I would recommend you to follow the session one recording to understand the scope. And this is where we are based in India. And what we offer is the services for the foreign manufacturers. Essentially, this license is required by foreign manufacturers, so you have to apply as manufacturer. Uh, and then you of course need a representative in India which is authorized to have this license. It's a mandatory requirement for foreign manufacturers. Then we have domestic manufacturers who also need the similar license to do manufacture the products in India. So this domestic manufacturing license is also the similar requirement that we support. Inspection is required under this license, so your product and site are inspected, which is according to the regulation and the standards. So this is also the support. And other support, if companies need to discuss about the standards and what kind of testing support they seek, so they can planning better. So we will cover all these topics also today, but these are some of the services including labeling and how you maintain the license. If you have any technical advocacy support, in India regulatory authorities are in the sense that you need more advocacy and licensing, so this is also we offer. And then training, if companies would like to train their employees to handle these compliances, we also provide that. So with this, I say that we specializes in chemical regulatory, product regulations, advocacy, and sustainability. This is we aim and we support our customers here. This is our YouTube channel. So we have now close to 100 videos. So it's active since 2019, and I would recommend. This is growing. All the webinars we have are posted there. So please go through this channel, and if you like, subscribe also, so you will get notifications from us as and when we are posting new items there. But this is the kind of good information that we are creating. Please follow us there also. And we also have a LinkedIn newsletter, so you can also log into LinkedIn, and you will find REACHLaw page. You please subscribe to the LinkedIn page. We have very good quality newsletters there, also from India BIS, and any regulatory updates on chemicals in India you can follow through our newsletters. And then we have other topics newsletters also there. So I would also recommend participants to follow us there, where subscriber base is growing rapidly. Before I start, a usual disclaimer in copyright. Also, it's important from a legal that I read this, but I will not go in complete text. This is on your screen, usual standard disclaimer in copyright. But usually we say that it's your own responsibility, so no representations or warranties are made about this completeness and accuracy of the content of this presentation, and no liability is accepted by us. And should you wish to use this material, it comes under copyright, so please contact us. It's require prior permission, usual standard text that I must follow for the audience. So Now with this, I will do some recap on session 1. What we have covered in session 1 is essentially covered here very briefly. We talked about the BIS. What is the BIS? It's basically, it's a kind of coming under Ministry of Consumer Affairs. So it's more of, product regulation, which is aim is to have a right quality product manufactured and used in India. So it is, again, this regulation is giving more on quality control aspects. So it is done in the technical standards, the product standards, and we have covered different acts and rules and regulations and what is covered. What is the scope of this is also, let's say, what is the BIS certification and who needs this certification is what we have covered. So it is something about different types of BIS certification. We focusing on ISI mark, which is under scheme 1, but there are other schemes, conformity assessments. But what we discussed in the last session is about the scheme 1. And then we have scope of BIS license, meaning what it covers. So it is a mandatory requirement for certain products which are listed in the scheme 1. You will find this information in public, and you can always also write to us. We will share this information if you're finding it difficult to understand what it covers. And then basically, who are the actors who can apply for the licenses? Only manufacturers, either it's a foreign manufacturers or a domestic manufacturer. Your importers in India cannot apply for this license. It's a manufacturer requirement. So this is important to do business in India. Excuse me. Then talking about the timelines when BIS is required, and as I mentioned, it's a product regulation. So you have QCO is quality control orders. This is a regulation, a product regulation. If you understand it better, each product has a different QCO, which defines the requirement as a listed standard, technical standard for what quality they need to cover. Requirements are mentioned there, and then you have deadlines. So each product has a different deadline, and for 12 months you have several deadlines if you have several products that you manufacture and sell to India. So this is important how this is working. And then you have, of course, what impact, and we have also discussed about penalties. Then coming to foreign manufacturers, the important aspect that we have covered is you of course need the authorized India representative, which is a mandatory requirement. But who can act as AIR? So that also we covered. It's an individual person. Then what is the obligation and criteria? And this is a typo, it's a contract. So obligation criteria is what we have covered. So I would request to please go through this obligations and criteria and have a good contract to manage this individual person requirements for your considering the liabilities and the risk and the confidentiality that you will disclose, and it has to work. So this is important. Then recommendations is what we have offered for audiences. This is you will find it useful if you apply those. Then challenges, appointment and maintenance is, I think, important. You have to have a stable AIR for this work. And then you have complex documentation, what you have to work. We will of course go through this in this session, so you will learn what are these documents. Then we have our on-site audit. As I mentioned it, the inspection is important. So we will also cover here today what inspection will be, what kind of inspection you foresee on this base license. And it's something which we will also cover in detail in today's session. Then the limited time, I don't think companies have sufficient time, even if it is 180 days, but working with authorities here is very proactive, that you need to start working much in advance. And if a standard is available, you don't have to wait for QCO. You can apply under voluntary scheme. You can have your license prior to the QCO implementation also. So just think of those requirements also and plan well in advance. Some updates on the new draft QCO, which is covering a range of products, around 130 products. And you can see that around 700 new standards are coming, and eventually these standards will be used in quality control orders. So imagine what kind of product regulations would be coming in India, more on textiles, and I think also chemicals and different products. Government is working on creating more quality product controls, so that that is important for you to follow. And then I would say that for step-by-step guidance, I request Rashmi to take over the session and take you through this process. So I'll come back on the Q&A session, and I will be also monitoring the chat for the questions. Thank you. Rashmi, over to you.
Thank you, Gagan, for the introduction and recap of session one. So I'll start with the step-by-step guide to BIS license application, where we'll see what are the major steps to complete the license process. Next one, please. So we have divided the complete license process in a major 5 steps, which starts with BIS application and till renewal, which is a ongoing process until unless you wish to maintain the valid license. So the first step is BIS application. BIS application requires a lot of documents which are to be prepared and submitted to start this license process. And there are some regulatory requirements like Indian standard and product manual, which has to be referred during this BIS application preparation. To understand what all forms are required, we have separate slide. So I will discuss more in the latest slides what forms and documents are required. Also, during this BIS application, we have to nominate the AIR. So this is also important. At the time of application submission only, we have to nominate the AIR and submit this application to BIS. So this is a manual submission to BIS, and the application fee has to be paid in advance. So once this complete set of document is ready, the duplicate set of application is submitted to BIS for further processing. So once this application is submitted to BIS, BIS records the application and shares an acknowledgement number or application number. This is the number which will be used for further communication with BIS until unless the license is granted. So this number is also important to maintain throughout the communication. Once this license is acknowledged and the number is generated, then BIS will review the documents which are submitted. And if there is any discrepancy in the documents, they will be communicating to the applicant to fulfill the requirements. So this could be the case that there are some discrepancies in the application set, and you need to provide the further documents to fulfill that requirement. Once this is over, the BIS will be nominating the application for inspection. So this is also an internal process for BIS, where they plan meeting to nominate inspection, and they will be communicating about this nomination through an initial communication wherein they will share the budget towards the inspection, and they will also share the name of the inspector who will be nominated for this on-site audit for the manufacturing premises. So once this is received by the applicant, the requirement is to pay the required fee if you are planning for the inspection. So the fee has to be paid, and then the final communication with the inspector begins, and the on-site audit is planned. So this audit is for 2 days. We will also discuss this in the later slide, what all happens during this inspection process. Once this inspection is over, so there are certain requirement which happens during the inspection for 2 man days. Like the manufacturing facility will be verified what all documents have been submitted towards the manufacturing process, what all testing documents even the test methods will be used to in-house testing will happen at the premises. So the withdrawal of sample will also happen during on-site factory inspection. So once this report is submitted by the inspector, and the sample which has been withdrawn from the factory audit, both will be submitted to BIS. The sample will be tested at the BIS lab, at BIS accredited lab at India. So once the report from lab and report from inspector is submitted to BIS, BIS will review the reports, and if it is all compliant, then it will be further processed for the next step, which is grant of license. So for the grant of license, before this, the applicant will be receiving a further communication regarding marking fee, which is the minimum marking fee, which is product wise, and needs to be paid before this grant of license. So once applicant pay the marking fee plus the annual fee, this is further process for the grant of license, and a license number is granted for that particular manufacturing site. After this, there is obligation for manufacturer to create a portal login credential at the portal, which is Manak Online, and this is required to record all your exports to India. So this is the next step after grant of license, which has to be taken care of. Also, there are certain other documentary requirements like agreement and indemnity and performance bank guarantee. So this agreement and indemnity is to be taken care by the AIR post grant of license. So these are two typical formats we will see in later slides. And this will be submitted to BIS, where the AIR in person has to visit and sign on the behalf of licensee. And then this performance bank guarantee of 10,000 USD has to be submitted by the manufacturer through any RBI approved branch. So this is a bank to bank guarantee which is submitted to BIS. So this completes the grant of license process here, and now the licensee has the right to use this ISI mark and the license number on their product labeling. So marking and labeling is the next step which you have to start with before you start exporting to the Indian market. So Indian standard has the complete details of the packaging type and how this marking and labeling should be done. So this ISI mark and the license number is a must to be included in the label. So each product manual and the Indian standard prescribes how it has to be done. Now the next bill is renewal. So initially the grant of license is for has a validity of 1 year. So once this is close to the date of expiry, like before 3 months, one can start for the renewal process. And there are certain documents and some details are required for this renewal as well. And there is a fee associated with renewal also. Also, uh, during the validity of license, there are chances of surveillance, and there are certain conditions of license which manufacturers should take care of, and these details are shared during the grant of license letter. So surveillance also we will see, but this is a process where BIS randomly pick the sample from any of the consignment for further testing at BIS lab, and to check whether the product is in compliance with Indian standard or not. So this is complete process, and usually it takes 180 days. Like the official timeline is 180 days for the grant of BIS license, but it depends. Sometime due to the visa formalities or any other reason, it may get delayed. But generally, it's a 6-month timeline for grant of ISI license. Next one, please. So these are some documents and communications after inspection you receive. Like first one, if you can see on the screen, is marking fee and annual payment. This is the communication which you will receive once uh, the samples have been met like compliant, both the inspection report and the sample withdrawn from the audit. So if both are compliant, you will be receiving a communication from BIS with the marking fee details, and that has to be paid, and the swift copy has to be shared with the BIS. Once this is received, the next one is grant of license. You will receive I have like you can see format of the license. At the top you will get a 10-digit license number, and then again this document will have the validity of license, the grade and scope for which you have applied. Then you will have some details like by what timeline you have to submit the agreement and indemnity bond. So these timelines are also mentioned. Marking details are there, and the condition of license, how you have to maintain these license, what are the criteria that has to be taken care of. So all such details are there in the grant of license letter. The next one is account creation at Manak Online. So this is also a guidance document from BIS which you will receive. Here the manufacturer has to first register and create a login. Once you have this login, you have to map your license, and once this mapping is completed, then for every consignment you have to enter the details. Whatever consignment coming to India, before it enters the Indian market, that has to be reported in this Manak portal. The fourth one is the agreement and indemnity bond. So this is prepared. This is a notarized document which has to be prepared, and the AIR along with one uh, along with the so this is the document. So AIR has to sign with the at the BIS office, and in the presence of one another person and the BIS officer. And again, this is the Swift. This copy is submitted to hard copy is submitted to BIS. The next one is performance bank guarantee. So this is the performance bank guarantee of 10,000 USD has to be submitted within the 45 days of issue of this grant of license letter, and this has to be done through the bank which is approved through RBI, which is Reserve Bank of India. Next one, please. So this is the marking which we will receive in the grant of license letter. This is the marking scheme, and you have the dimensions. So you are free to choose any preferred dimension, and which should be in the same ratio. So this has to be applied on the label or the product. Depends upon the nature of product how it can be applied, but you are free to choose any suitable dimension depending upon your label size as per the given dimensions from the BIS. Next one, please. Yeah, this is something you can see how product on product the labels are used. At the top of the ISI, you have to place the Indian standards relevant to your product, and below this mark you can mention the license number. So as I mentioned, you are free to choose any proposed matrix, and this marking can also, like depending upon the nature of product, can be printed, can be embossed, or whatever the nature of the product. Like it has to come on the product, but it is not specific that there is any typical label which has to be marked. So license number should be below the ISI mark only. So if you see labels, there are certain requirements which has to come on the label, and this is mentioned in the Indian standard. Like we generally have the name of the material or the designation grade, or what is the mass, batch number, lot number, manufacturing month or year. So such all details has to come on the label. So please check the Indian standard what they have mentioned. And in case any of these requirements are already covered in your label, then you may have a separate label also where you can use this ISI mark and number. So there is no limitation that it has to be in one label. It could be two label, but yes, the complete information should come on both the labels. In Indian standard, there could be some additional marking requirements also. This is specifically for the hazardous products. So please refer that. And if there is any such requirements, please use those logos. And there could be some separate Indian standard from where you need to check what hazardous symbol has to be applied. So accordingly, that has to be applied on the label also. Also, as I mentioned, depending upon the nature of the product, sometimes it is not feasible to mark ISI mark or license number on the product. In that case, test certificates are used. So product manual will have such criteria wherein you can use the test certificates, and you can mention all such details which has to come on label will now come on the test certificate. But it depends, it has to be there in the product manual, and if allowed, then it can be used. Next one. Okay, so this completes broadly the process of license. Now let's see some pre-application consideration which one should understand before applying for the BIS license. So the first question which comes in the mind is, does your product meet the relevant Indian standard? So please check Indian standard scope. and identify whether the product which you are willing to apply for is covered under that particular Indian standard or not. Sometimes it's the case like only like food specific or some pharma related or some regulatory. So it could be case like your product has some general use and it is not covered under mandatory certification, but yes, you have an IS for that. So though also check the scope and confirm whether your product needs a mandatory licensing or not. Then second one is, have you conducted required testing and obtained test report? So this is also important because Indian testing, like Indian standard has certain different test method which you might not have been performing at your premises at your lab. So it is suggested that if you get it checked beforehand, like you can send your sample to any Indian lab which is accredited by BIS, and according to that particular standard, if you get it checked, you may have some confidence like yes, it is complying to the Indian standard and it has a good chance to pass during the audit, on-site audit. So it is recommended that you may get your samples tested beforehand. The third one is your product packaging. It is also important because Indian standard also has some specification regarding the packaging. So it is generally that they mention like what type of material or what size packaging size should be used. So it could be case to case, it varies. So it is recommended that you also check like from Indian standard whether the way packaging is done at your end is complying to that particular product regulation. Is your product labeled in compliance with Indian standard? Yes, of course. Please check like you are using all those details on your label, and further you can use the ISI mark also, so that you can also check. Is your test equipment calibrated by public agency of your country? It is very important because during the audit, the all the calibration records, wherever those test equipments which requires calibrations, they will be checking the calibration report, and they like in-house calibration reports are not accepted. So it should be done by some accredited agency from your country, and also it should be valid during the time of audit. So it is also important that you maintain all the calibration record and present it at the time of inspection. The last one is your packaging and labeling done at the manufacturing premises? Yes, this is also very important to understand. Like BIS defines what is manufacturing premises. So one should know that manufacturing premises doesn't mean that you're only manufacturing the product in the premises, but starting from the procurement of raw material, warehouse, storage, testing, to the final activity which is packaging, and also once the license is granted, the marking of the ISI mark should happen at the same premises. If it is not, then it may not be covered as under the scope of manufacturing premises, and in that case it is likely that your application gets rejected also. So please do check these factors while you are considering for BIS license, and maybe this will expedite in the future when we start with the application. Next one. Okay, these are some key points for BIS license. So we should now, by time, we should understand that AIR is an individual person and not entity for the foreign manufacturers. License is granted per foreign manufacturing factory per product. So if you have same product and if you have different manufacturing site, you need to apply for all those sites. Then different deadlines per product QCO. Yes, all products don't have same deadlines. It depends upon the QCO and date of implementation. Every product will have different deadlines, after which the market access will be restricted. Mandatory factory inspection by BIS. So this is a mandatory requirement where on-site factory inspection happens, and for 2 days, and it may depend, like if there is some clubbing of inspection and all, it may also increase, but yes, it is generally for 2 days. Also, license is granted for 1 year with renewal. So the initial validity will be for 1 year only. It is mandatory, like once you have this license, you mark your products with ISI mark and the license number on the packaging. Then also you have to enter all the details of the consignment at the BIS portal, which is Manak Online. So you have to enter all the consignment detail with importer details. So there is a, we'll see this in the later slide how it works for Manak Online. And then post license surveillance by BIS, it happens as I mentioned earlier, like the BIS will be randomly collecting the samples and they will send an email asking the importer to submit the license from any of the consignment. So this is also a part of license which continues once you have this license until the license is valid. Next one. Okay, the next one is understanding the product testing requirements. So it is very important because we are complying specifically to the Indian standard and whatever they have listed out for the testing. So one needs to understand this, and from where they can find it out. The three important documents: Indian standard, the cross reference. Cross reference is nothing but it is again the Indian standard. Maybe the main Indian standard will link you with the another Indian standard. So we called it as a cross reference for that particular Indian standard. And the third one is the product manual. So testing requirements, sampling requirement, and all documents you can find from these three documents. So please study this well, pass this documents to your QC team to understand what testing requirements are mentioned in that and how you can easily comply during the on-site audit. So testing requirement can be of two type. One is mandatory and one is optional. So whatever mandatory, it will be performed at your in-house lab during the audit, and all the test equipments according to that given test methods in the IS has to be there, and that will be used to perform the test. And also the QC person should be there during this audit and to take care of all this testing. The other testing requirements are optional, which may you may conduct or you may not, or also it may be some subcontracted to other lab also. But it is always mentioned in the testing requirement table. So please check with your QC person to understand in detail what all mandatory which will be performed during 2 days on-site audit, and the optional, if you are willing to, you may go ahead with the optional one also. Then for sampling, please refer to the product manual, what quantity of sample will be withdrawn during the audit, and what will be the packaging type, like they have mentioned what should be the packaging material used to send this sample. Also, if there is any pre-requirement like conditioning of sample before audit happens, so all those can be checked from the product manual regarding the sampling. Then documentation, as I mentioned earlier, calibration record. It is very important that you maintain this from the accredited third party from your national body, from your country, and also they should be valid during the time of audit. Next one. So let's start with the documentation part now. And as I mentioned, the Indian standard, cross-reference, and product manual. So on the right-hand side, you can see a sample document of Indian standard, how it like starts with the scope and then references are given, then type. So it depends upon the product and they mention everything in the Indian standard. So please refer Indian standard for scope, requirement, testings, packing and marking, and other cross references if required for that particular product. Likewise, cross-reference will be a similar Indian standard where a particular test method can be defined in detail. And then product manual will have all the requirements regarding the audit time, like you can check the sample details and what all tests can be performed in a single day. So all major points are covered in the product manual, which is very helpful during the on-site audit. Next one. So this is the list of documents required for BIS license and which we submit during the application, which is the first step. So till number 12, it is required for application, and the last two, 13 and 14, are required post grant of license. So the first form is application form 5. So this is the basic form which asks for the company name, address, factory premises detail, the head of the company, who will be the contact person, which grade you are applying for. So all such product details, all such details are covered in the application form 5. The next one is nomination of authorized Indian representative, which is used in the Form 6. And wherever it is mentioned Form 5, Form 6, these are a prescribed format coming up from BIS, which has to be used while submitting the application. So for this nomination, you have to select one person as an AIR whose detail will come, and this form will be signed by the AIR also before submitting this to BIS. The next one is manufacturing machinery list, Form 1. Here you have to mention all the manufacturing machinery which are used for the production of that particular product, and also you have to provide a process flow chart with a descriptive summary of the process. So this is required along with the manufacturing machinery list. The next one is list of test equipment, which is Form 2, and here you have to provide all the test equipments including the chemicals and reagents which are being used for that test. So a detailed list of test equipments along with chemical and reagents has to be provided in the Form 2. Fifth is valid calibration certificates of testing equipments. As I mentioned, this calibration you can submit or you can show this during the on-site audit also. Then appointment letter, qualification certificate and experience detail of lab supervisor or your QC person. So this is also required at the time of application. Proposed level of control for inspection and testing, which is Form 3. So this is again a prescribed format, and you have to refer Indian standard to fill this proposed level of control. We'll see this format in the next slide. Then format of test report, Form 4. So here you have to refer Indian standard again for what all clause and requirements are mentioned, and then using that you have to provide whatever value is obtained at your lab. So this form will report the testing. Then layout of plant premises. This is a simple layout of the your plant premises, but it should cover all the units like your packaging area, your warehouse, your QC. So all those units should be clearly marked in this layout, which the inspector will be using while the audit, and will verify all the areas which has been marked in this layout. The 10th one is manufacturing location plan. So this is something you need to provide if someone is coming from India, how he or she will reach to your place. So this needs to be, this can be a Google map also. So using, like, someone is coming from New Delhi, India, how he or she can reach to your manufacturing premises, a simple itinerary for your for this. Then is the 11th method of disposal of substandard products. So how you manage this, how you dispose the substandard product, you can provide this. And this is like all these documents don't have any specified format. You are free to use your own document here. Next one is organizational chart of factory. So you can provide this. So this ends with the documents which are required to be submitted at the time of application. The next one is agreement and indemnity bond. So these two are also prescribed format from BIS, and we need to submit post grant of license. Also the bank performance guarantee, which will be submitted post license. Next one. So this is the screenshot for application form 5, where this is a simple one-page document. And as I mentioned, you need to provide the details of your company, like your office address, your manufacturing site address, like what product you have applied for Indian standard grade, what quantity you are estimating to export to India. So all such type of details are required in this form. Next one. This is a form for nomination by manufacturer, where you are appointing your authorized Indian representative. So detail, the name and the address of that person will come in this form, and at the left hand side, the signature of authorized Indian representative. He or she has to sign this document also. Next one. This is test report, which is form 4 of BIS. So on the left hand side, you can see this is the form of test report, and on the right hand side, you can see the table, like table 1, which is requirement for that particular product. So you can see that clause, the requirements all these things are mentioned from where you have to capture. So every time when you are going to fill the test report, please refer to the test requirement table. There will be one table, one or two table from where you have to capture the details for this form. So IS reference, you can mention whatever the product Indian standard code is there, that you have to mention. Then the clause, you can see at the top it is mentioned. Then the requirements and the observed value will be from your testing. So what results you are getting will be your observed value. So this is the way how you can fill the test report. Next one. This is proposed level of control for inspection and testing. So this is also given in the product manual also, where you can refer. And in case you don't find, because sometimes it happens that there is no product manual, maybe there's a new product and for which license has yet not been granted. So in that case, you may not have this proposed level of control and testing also. So in that case, you may provide whatever control measures you are we are taking care of at your site. So that can be provided in the column 3. But yes, again, if you have this product manual, then at the right hand side you can see I have marked it with and highlighted in different colors from where you can capture the details. So this is the way you have to either refer Indian standard or the product manual, and you can identify and capture the details in the form. Next one. Okay, so this completes the application, and now we move to the next step, which is factory inspection process. So as I mentioned, it is a 2-day audit. So the first day is generally planned with the introduction to the plant premises, the plant tour, and testing. So generally it happens that the inspector may, after having a short introduction, will start with visiting to your plant. He will verify all the manufacturing machinery as submitted in the form, and next after next that day he will start with the testing, because it may take time. So he will start with the testing, and he will use first sample, which he will be withdrawing from your premises, and that sample will be used for the testing. So as per Indian standard, whatever it is mentioned in the Indian standard or product manual, which has to be covered in a single day testing, they will perform all those testing using your testing equipments and chemicals. So generally this happens in the first day. First, then the next day, uh, he will be sampling, he will seal the sample, which has to be sent to the Indian lab, and the final documentation. So whatever documents we has been submitted at the time of application, then also at the time of audit, it's like the testing equipment may get revised after checking all the details. The manufacturing machinery may also change. Then this test report, which is being done at your premises, will be created. So there are some documents which will again be prepared at the site, and this will be further signed and stamped by the authorized person and the lab person. So during the site audit, it is important that the QC person is available, and the one who is authorized by your company head has to be present during the audit. It could be plant manager or someone else, but it is like generally the plant manager is available and the QC person to sign on all the documents which is being prepared at the site. Next one. So these are some key points, please keep this available, like copy of set of documents submitted to BIS. So you can keep that ready, and whatever document has to be picked from those set can be taken. Then yes, it is very important that during the inspection your manufacturing unit is in running condition. It is very important, otherwise the application may get rejected at that point of time also. So it should be running condition. It may be that you are producing different grade, but the product should be same and the test equipment should be same, whatever you have mentioned in the application. Then yes, the stock for sampling should be available. As I mentioned, the lab personnel and the plant manager should also be there to sign the documents. And this factory testing and roll of sample will happen. And also it is very important, like if their English is not the language, then you should provide some translator. So this is also a mandatory part which one should take care while inspection. Next one. So we have completed this BIS license process and requirements. Now let's see what post license compliance and surveillance covers. Next one. So as I mentioned that after grant of license, we have a responsibility to create an account at Manak Online, which is the portal to record the consignment. So you will be receiving a complete guidance document from BIS, and using that you have to first create a account. You have to fill the registration form and create an account. uh, you may see, yeah. So this is the portal page where one has to you register and then log in to create an account. And once you have created an account, you have to enter the license number, and you have to send a request for mapping with BIS, which will be then automatically mapped with BIS system. And then you have to enter all your details whenever you are sending the shipment to India. Next one. So this is the registration form which requires the person details. So you may appoint someone who will be taking care of this entries, and the detail of that person can be entered and registered in this account. Next one. Yes, this is the portal. So this is the Manak Online. You have to click on this conformity assessment Manak Online. And then once you click, then the next page you will get uh, the login, where you have to log in, and then uh, you'll get a registration form. So this is the same registration form, and you have to provide the detail of that person, and then you have to register. Next one. Then once you register, you have the login credential, and once you log in using that credential, please click on this FMCS, after which you will have a different page which requires license mapping request. So this license mapping request, please click on the first one. Next one. Yes, this, please click on this license mapping, and then you'll get this tab where you have to enter your license number and then get details. So here you have to confirm all the details and then request for mapping. Now this request goes to BIS, and BIS after once they approve this, your license will be mapped, and once you log in, this will be the page you will get. And suppose you have multiple products, like, so you can have that in same account, and for whatever product you are sending the document, you can enter consignment detail, where the next page will be the consignment details in the port entry form, where you have to mention the name of the product, details of the consignment, the quantity of the product to the port, which is to the port where we are sending it, the details of importer and consignee. So all these information, some are like pre-filled information, you have to just select, and some you have to like provide in the portal, and then you can submit this. But be aware that once you submit this, there is no scope to edit this in this portal. So please do check before submitting this details in the portal, and this has to be done before your consignment reaches to the India. So take care, like you need to check the ETA before, and before that you have to apply the details in the portal. Next one. Yes, please, next. So yes, of course, you have to also upload the bill of lading and the invoice for that shipment and the test report, and then you can submit this. So this completes the Manak Online, and let's see some cases, some circumstances where there are chances of application rejection. So the first is incomplete application form. So if you are submitting the application, like what I did, we discussed about the requirement of application. So if you are not completing the application form, and if it is without the payment of application fee, it could be the case that BIS rejects your application at the first stage only. So it is suggested that please review the BIS guidelines and checklist, and properly fill the documents and provide the necessary documents, even if the main application form or the support supporting documents. So please prepare the bunch carefully and review that, and then you can submit this. In case there are minor deficiency in the application, in that case BIS will further communicate, and you may submit additional documents. Or in case it is rejected at the first stage also, you may review it completely and then reapply for the BIS license also. The next step is like the next scenario where it is chances of rejections are there is non-compliant test methods and test report. So please review using the Indian standard and the product manual that you are complying to the test methods and the test equipments mentioned in the Indian standard. So please take care. They check all the major and minor test equipment. So do not miss out any equipment. And in case you still find that these are not your test methods or your test equipments are not complying with Indian standard, then in case you can take up this matter with the BIS relevant department, and then you can provide why you are not able to comply with this particular test method. So a proper justification can be submitted for further consideration of BIS. Maybe sometime it is like some international test methods are not included in the Indian standard. So in that case also you may request. So the you need to provide the proper justification why you are not able to comply, and maybe this can be further discussed at BIS and suitable changes can be done. So please do check if you are complying with the Indian standard test methods. Then another chance of rejection is non-payment of fee. At any instance, if you're not paying the fee to the BIS, they may reject the application, and they will do inform the stating the reason why the application is being rejected. So the first case, as I mentioned earlier, was the application fee. So without application fee, they will not accept the application form. It will be rejected. So uh, please complete the documents and pay the application fee, and then submit this to BIS. Then is the inspection fee. So once this application is reviewed and the application is nominated for inspection, they communicate for this inspection fee, wherein if you have not paid this inspection fee, then also they may reject and they may hold the application at that time. Then is marking fee. Also marking fee is advance marking fee is paid to BIS. So until unless you pay this, the license is not granted, and they do not hold this for long time. So they will communicate and they will send some reminders to pay the fee. And in case there is no response from manufacturer, then at this later advanced stage also they may reject the application. Then at factory inspection, there are also some situation where this application may get rejected. Like if the production unit is not in running condition, suppose you have planned the visit and at the time of audit, the inspector finds that it is not in the running condition, then this is very important that you maintain this unit in the under the running condition for the product you have applied for. And also availability of test equipment. So all those test equipment you have mentioned in the form should be available and should be as per IS. All your manufacturing activity, quality testing, all your packaging activity, this, as I mentioned, that the scope defines the manufacturing premises. So this all should happen at the same premises. This is why this audit happens, that it is verified whatever you have submitted in the application is true and best. And they do check, and then they submit the report that whatever information was submitted is true. So please take care of these points and avoid the rejections. Next one. Okay, once we have this license, as I mentioned, it has initial validity of 1 year. So obviously we would go ahead with the renewal if we want to continue to access Indian market. So renewal again, it is granted for 1 year. So it is suggested that apply 3 months before the expiry of your initial license. And this renewal also requires some other documents, and they have a prescribed format. Using that, we have to apply for the renewal and the production details. So here the importance of Manak Online comes into the role, that whatever production consignment details you have mentioned or entered in the Manak Online, those details have to be provided at this renewal process. So production details will be required along with your importer details, the quantity, everything likewise will come under the production detail, which has been marked with the ISI. And of course there is a fee for renewal. Then is the market surveillance. This is a continuous process until your license is valid. BIS keep on testing picking up the random sample and testing to check whether the product which are coming to India are compliant as per the Indian standard. So it is not like once the license is granted, one can relax and will cannot follow this Indian standard. So it is like, please maintain the quality as per Indian standard, because samples will be picked and they will be communicating to the Indian, to your importer, to your AIR to submit this required sample from any of the consignment. So ideally it is Indian importer obligation to submit the sample to BIS within the given time period. And if any further communication, they should communicate to the manufacturer. Next one. So BIS license maintenance and AIR change. So license maintenance, please take care of renewal timeline. Do not miss the timeline and keep a reminder so that you apply timely manner before 3 months of expiry of your license. Then keep on monitoring the compliance. If there is any change, like sometime it happens that there are some change in the test methods, or there are some amendments which are coming up, so please monitor that, and BIS will be communicating regarding this change also, and please comply to that change if there is any further requirement related to the standard. Surveillance, as I mentioned, try to keep some sample from your consignment for that particular year. Maybe they may ask, so it's not fixed which consignment they will be asking, but if possible, you may store some sample for this purpose also. uh, Please take care that if there is any change, like in change of the address or test methods or any of the manufacturing process, please do inform BIS about this change, and suitably they will recommend if there is any action required. Maintain compliant test report which you are submitting to your importer also. So use this BIS standard compliant test report at the Manak online also, and to for your importers also. Marking and labeling, yes, please maintain this as per the guidance given in the product manual and Indian standard. Do not mark any other product which is not granted, which do not has the license. So please use this mark very carefully on the products and grades which has been granted license for. Then during this process there could be a case that you need to change the AIR. So there is a provision for change of AIR. For that case, you need to identify a new AIR. You may follow the recommendations which were shared in our first session for AIR appointment. So considering those criteria, please select a new AIR. And again, the process you have to repeat. You have to use that form of nomination, fill those details and submit that to BIS. BIS will acknowledge this change and will formally inform you, will share a letter about this change, and please maintain this at your record, and do take care that yes, the email ID or the communication channel has been changed from the previous one, so that you get all the information from BIS. Next one. Okay, now we have completed the process requirement and the post license compliance. So we'll go through some case studies which is very important while handling BIS license and may apply for your products also. So let's see. Next one. So this is the first case where manufacturer has a different test method and equipment, and they were not complying as per the Indian standard. So this product was falling under the mandatory list, and the QCO was still not implemented. Even right now, it has been extended. So once we received the documents from the manufacturer, we had the review of all the documents, and we identified that they are not complying to the Indian test methods. So this was the reason that the manufacturer country has certain norms which didn't allow to use those test methods, or they were obsolete in their country. So this was something which we reported to the BIS, the products formulation standard, and this was taken up further. So the problem here test method and test equipment were not as per the Indian standard. So this case was taken up, and this the whole justification was submitted to the standard division, and strong representation was made from the subsidiary of the manufacturer and the consultant. And there were a lot of stakeholder consultation. Technical advocacy was required for this, as the stakeholders, all the manufacturers from India and from abroad also participates, and there is a lot of discussion on the changes, because this required a change or accommodation of the new test methods in the Indian standard. So this was the challenge, and it took a lot of time. If you see, approximately it took 1.5 year to get this change done. And finally, after several round of discussion, this with the stakeholders, this uh, the international standards were accommodated in the Indian standard also. And it was it was published in the wide circulation draft for comments from all the manufacturers. So there is a provision to comment on this. So there was several round of this commenting also. There is a certain time period allotted, during which if one is not agree to that changes, may object or may share further comments for any other accommodation or recommendation. So that happened, and then finally it was like, once all agreed, and this international test methods were also included in the Indian standard. So this resulted in the change in the Indian standard. And what we learned from this case was, like, it is very important that you plan this, but you understand the case, you understand that why this is like not possible for the manufacturer to comply with the Indian standard. So static planning was required, and very strong technical advocacy was also required in this case. And also you have to very effectively coordinate with the authorities, and prompt response is also required, because once you submit your case to BIS, they are also looking, they also have queries, and they're asking you the queries, and you have to very promptly reply with the justifications. Also participate in the technical committee meeting. So someone from yours, like manufacturer, and if they have some subsidiary or their consultant or the AIR, so if they have the knowledge to participate in this, so this participation in meeting and commenting is also very important. Also, when this process was ongoing, we passed several deadlines, because generally it has a 6-month timeline for implementation of QCO. So since it took 1.5 years, I understand almost 3 extensions were required. So it was also important to inform the correct authority about this situation, and writing to them requesting for the extension, so that that the manufacturer get the chance to comply with the Indian standard, as they were willing to comply with everything, but since their country norms were against that, so they had this limitation. But yes, this happened. So a lot of personal visits and meetings are also required. But finally this happened, and the result was that this change happened in the Indian standard for this product. Next one. Okay, the second case we handled was for the manufacturer who used the third party packaging unit, meaning that the packaging was not done at the same premises. And as I mentioned earlier, that it has to be done in the same premises, everything, the final manufacturing activity, and everything has to be completed in the same premises. So in this case, QCO was implemented, and this was a special grade for consumer industry, and had very huge impact on that industry. So that for that reason also, this was very special case. And also for this particular grade, there was no domestic supplier to cover. So this was a case which took approx 2 years to get the result for this change. So as I mentioned, the application of ISI mark was used in a different premises, which was a packaging unit. And when we notice this, so as I mentioned earlier also, each document is important. Once you share the layout of the factory premises, the auditor checks the detail, and at that time it was identified that the packaging is not marked in that layout, and then the case was identified that yes, a third party packaging unit is used. So once this was this thing was discovered, then this was represented to BIS that this is the country infrastructure. So this limitation was coming from the country's infrastructure, that they have this separate packaging facility for these type of products. They do not do the packaging at the manufacturing premises. So this was represented to the BIS, and this the BIS requested for this traceability part. So they tried to understand the how they can, because the whole thing is they want the right from manufacturing to packaging everything to be compliant. So they tried to understand that yes, this traceability can be managed, whatever manufactured at the premises is not diluted until the packaging unit. So this was the important part to understand the traceability. A lot of discussion happened, a lot of meeting happened with the best relevant department. So uh, many departments from BIS were involved in this case, and also the ministry was involved because of this, again, the QCO implementation deadline. So that authority was also involved, so everyone was aware about this case, why it is difficult or challenging for the manufacturer to comply with the Indian standard requirement. So again, a very effective coordination and prompt responsiveness is required in this. Personal visits, lots of personal visit and meetings. So we appreciate BIS for this, that every time they have considered this situation of the manufacturer and tried to accommodate. So although in second case it was a country specific requirement. So because other countries were able to secure license for the same product because they didn't had this challenge, infrastructure challenge, but for this particular country there was this challenge, and BIS understood this problem, and then they revised the product manual wherein they gave a provision for license for packaging unit also. So now after this case, for this product it was required to get two license, one for the manufacturing unit and for second for the packaging unit. So both the premises were audited, and separate license were granted for this product. So the next one, some recent updates in the best licensing process. We have observed that there are certain changes from previous years which BIS has now modified in their license process. So online application process, not yet for the foreign manufacturer, but for other scheme, they have this online application process, the lab request generation, payments. So everything is now online. License validity also, earlier it was granted for 2 years, but now it has been reduced to 1 year. So initial license what we receive it is for 1 year only. Then BIS is also accepting digital signatures on the application documents. So earlier it was manual signatures were required, but now the digital signatures are also accepted. BIS has also revised many standards. So they are elevating the product standards. They are accommodating the international test method. So it is friendly for everyone to comply with the Indian standards. So they have revised a lot of Indian standard recently. Also, they are expanding the testing facilities in India so that it is easy to get the product tested in the best accredited labs. So these are some recent updates in the overall licensing process for BIS. And the next one. Okay, I think I have covered the topic. Now I will pass this on to Gagan for the Q&A session.
Thank you, Rashmi. I think it was quite comprehensive, and thank you for helping our participants to learn. The case studies were quite interesting, and I believe it was useful. And I also, at the same time, apologize for again extended this session, but I think it was also yeah, important that you staying with us. I still see that many participants are staying with us, so thank you very much for this. And for the Q&A, I think what we have done is we have some set questions. So I'll go through them quickly, and let's see. I'll take some, and if Rashmi would like to take some questions. But let's start with this question one. These are the questions that we received from the registration. So we will take some preference there. Can you share the list of chemicals which needs the BIS certification? So this is the specific to the chemicals. I think you need to follow the scheme one, which is on the BIS website. It's a public information. And then you have chemicals, fertilizers, and plastics. I think they have some categories, so you can follow that. Under that, you will find several quality control orders, and you will find chemical names. You can go through this page, and I think you will find the information. If you struggle to see that where your chemical is listed or your chemical is not listed, you are not sure whether it requires mandatory license, feel free to contact us. So I think we can resolve your query if you write to us separately. But this information is at public. Then second question is more of I think the session was missed, so was looking for the brief update. I hope that I covered some updates, but I think it was probably useful if you go through this YouTube channel recording, and you will find more about this session one there. And if you have any questions, please, we have, I think, covered some questions also in the recording. So if you have any additional questions, then please send it to us. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we will use session third. If I missed, we have also received quite many questions in the chat. I'll take few of those from there, but still, we will cover more questions in the session three, also from these sessions that those are open. So it will be more interactive in session three. Then question three, do we need to pay the marking fee for all products marked on packaging with ISI mark? Even the products are not going to India. So I think it's an important good question. I would see if Rashmi would like to take it up.
Okay, yes, so marking fee for all products, whether not coming to India also. So BIS is not monitoring as of now those products which are marked with ISI and not coming to India. But again, even if you are like marking this for the other products, you have to pay the minimum marking fee at the time of renewal. So this is anyhow applicable that you are paying the minimum marking fee. If it is more, then obviously we are paying the differential amount. But again, if it is like you are not sending anything to India and then you are using ISI mark, to keep the license valid and for the renewal, the minimum marking fee will be paid.
Thank you, Rashmi. I think for this last question, I want to know the requirements for the products I bring into India. So I guess you are looking for the BIS requirements. Again, I recommend same as answer to question two is to follow us session one, and of course in this session you will have covered the requirements of what that you need to apply for the license. But if you have any follow-up question, please feel free to write to us. So these were the questions submitted at the time of registration. I believe most of them were answered during this session. Now I'll take some questions from the chat that the participants are sending us today. Thank you for these good questions. Um, the question which is there is regarding the inspection. How does the inspector choose which product is tested? So, Rashmi, would you like to take it up?
So the question is how inspector choose the product. So it is already defined the product which you have applied for. So for that particular your application nomination for inspection will happen, and that product will be like product testing will be done at your unit. So this is already defined when you apply for the application.
Yeah, I think, and this is also covered in the standard. So, if, for example, you have several grades that you want to cover in your license, then the standard and the manual will decide how these products are selected, because maybe you have several tens of products from the several grades. So there I think some recommendations are coming from the standards and the manual, and we can of course suggest how this is happening, but this is more of a random call also when inspector is coming to your premise. So just to add on to the answer, then we have questions regarding validity. I believe it was answered in the session. The question says, how long is the license valid? It's 1 year. And when does the license have to be renewed? I think it's 2 to 3 months prior to your renewal date. So you can have your renewal set in your ERPs. That would help you in managing the renewal process. You will of course get an email from the BIS, but still it's important to monitor this renewal process because it expires in 1 year. Then this is also an important question regarding performance bank guarantee. This is saying the performance bank guarantee of US dollar 10,000 is refunded if we stop exporting. I think you have saying that you have secured a license and now everything is done. You have already executed the performance bank guarantee, and then later on you want to stop your exports to India and you are looking that whether it is refunded. So Rashmi, would you like to say something? Okay, so this I think question probably looks into more on the legal side of your contracts, meaning what you are signing with the BIS at the time of license. Any transaction on the performance bank guarantee, meaning that it's just not stopping your exports, because stopping your exports doesn't mean that you still have a license, valid license. You may or may not export, but you still have a valid license. So performance bank guarantee will remain. But if you want to surrender your license or you want to exit from the BIS agreement, then you can request for this refund, because you no longer have a valid license and you no longer want to, let's say, do business with India. Then you have to exit from the current license you have with the BIS, and you have to consider legal, uh, I would say, consult legal uh, department that how you execute that. So just by stopping the export, the answer is no. It's difficult to apply for refund. It has to have some solid background based on whatever signatures you are applying in the license. And of course, bank guarantee has a set of requirements. So those articles of the contract as also needs to be seen. So this is something I would like to share on this question. Then we have another question. I'll take a few more uh, in the interest of the audience. Uh, do we need separate BIS license for each product made at the same production site? So Rashmi, would you like to take it up?
Yes, if the products are different, even though the manufacturing or production site is same, so you need to apply for the license each product wise, because each product has a different Indian standard. So it's either way. Like if you have different product at the same production site, and if you wish to apply for all those products, then separate application. Or if you have a single product which is being manufactured at different manufacturing sites, so if address also changes, then also you need to apply for separate license.
Thank you. Yes, it's a per product per site requirement. So, and of course you have a different product, then you need to have a license even though manufacturing site is same. Then the question is again on audit requirements. Does this on-site audit also apply to only importers? The question is not very clear, but I can attempt. If you're assuming with some assumptions that this importer is in India, then Indian importers are not audited. It is just your manufacturing site which will be audited by the BIS inspector. So if that is what you would like to ask us, then this is the answer. But if you have separate request or the question is different, then please contact us. We will provide this answer by email. Then this another question is about the AIR. Any Indian resident can be AIR. So Rashmi, if you want to share.
Yes, Indian resident can be AIR, but yes, please check the criteria that by education he or she should be a graduate and should be residing in India only. So yes, any Indian resident.
Okay, so I think there is another last question which I will take. We have already exceeded the time, so it's something, but I will take this last question on this session. Has Reach Law experienced a case where the authorities have requested for a sample from the consignment? Where do we get a request for the sample? Is it drawn at the port itself? How is this handles if a logistic partner is involved? So, Rashmi, if you want to share.
Yes, yes. So we come across such cases where like BIS has been asking for the sample. So they will like branch office, given branch office will be not from the head office, but the branch office will be communicating. So where like they will be selecting, if you have multiple importers, they may choose any importer, and depending upon the location of the importer, the relevant branch office of BIS will be communicating. So a communication will be marked to the manufacturer and the AIR for submission of this sample. So this could be from any consignment from that particular year. So it is random sampling, and so this is how you will get a request for sample. And your second question is it drawn at the port itself? No, because it is not like they will be drawing from the port. They will be communicating and giving you the reference of the consignment, the bill of lading and the invoice number. So they will, you have to refer that particular consignment, and from this you have to submit this. How is this handled if a logistic partner is involved? uh, like if your logistic partner is your warehouse and if they are maintaining that, then anyone like you can just loop in the logistic partner in that, and maybe with the help of AIR you can communicate with the BIS inspect like whoever is the dealing officer. So that is how you can coordinate with the logistic partner, the AIR and the BIS officer, and the sample submission can happen. I hope this answers your query.
Yes, thank you. I think that was also an elaborative answer, so probably it will have good answers for this. So with this, I would like to end this session. And here are the contact details if you would like to contact us, if you have any queries or if you need any support. So feel free to contact us using these contact details. And with this, I would like to say again thank you for all of you for staying with us. And please join us for session three, where we will talk about commercials and we will also take up the questions from today's session. So have a good day. Stay safe. Thank you.